Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. Today is a bonus episode. It is my birthday today. I am 54 years old and I wanted to share with you on my birthday why my health and how I feel matters more to me than ever before. I'm going to share with you on this podcast episode how my health and fitness goals have changed over the years and where I was and where I am now, because I often talk about all the things that you need to do in order to benefit your health and how you feel. And I think it's important for me to share my background, where I've come from, and how my health and fitness and how I feel has changed and how it looks to me now as a 54-year-old female going through perimenopause, and that I have a lot of empathy and understanding for how women feel. I've been working with women for many, many, many years, and I'm going to talk about where it started. So let's just rewind all the way back to secondary school. I have always been active. I have always been sporty. I was in the swimming team, the netball team. I did all the sports and always and activities. My motivation for being sporty and active then was pure enjoyment, and I loved the team sport aspect, and I love trying to be good at something. I was a good all-rounder when I was at school. I was master of none, but I was a good all-rounder, and I just loved being active. As I became older and I started working, I started going to the gym. My motivation was weight loss. It was never about my health. I had started working in the health and fitness industry at 18 or 19, and I loved the industry. I loved exercise. I was visiting a gym. I was doing mostly kind of dabbling in exercise classes and group exercise. And that's how the fitness industry kind of started for me. And my motivation was always about how I looked and weight loss. It was never, ever about my health. Um, I was working in the I went on to work in the health and fitness industry. I worked in a health club. I was a qualified aerobics instructor and a gym instructor. I was teaching classes. I was working out. I was working in the gym, training people. But for my own workouts, I was very, very focused on cardio. I didn't do resistance training. I didn't lift weights. I did none of that. My goal was to burn as many calories as possible and manage my weight, to which I would then usually eat back all the calories I had expended and go round and round in this cycle. I had a very poor relationship with food at this time. I was very all or nothing. And I used exercise as a currency to earn and burn my food. And I would go round and round in this cycle. And I did this for years. If this is you right now, I really encourage you to try and move away from this mentality, as it isn't healthy in any way at all. And exercise is something that you get to do. It's not a punishment. It's a real privilege to be able to exercise, and to take care of your health should always come from a really positive place and one of self-care and kindness. Exercise isn't a punishment. Now, I was in my very early, late teens, very early 20s. Obviously, I've come a long way and learnt a lot now at my age that I am now. But if you are in, if you view food as currency, or you earn and burn your food, and you need support, my door, my virtual door is always open. Please know that you can always talk to me. But that's where I was at that young age. I later got married. I was still working in the fitness industry. I exercised through all my pregnancies. I have 3 grown up kids. I exercised through all of my pregnancy. And I suppose this is when I first noticed how exercise made me feel and how it benefited me mentally, and how moving my body just made me feel good. And for the first time, I no longer was trying to lose weight. Obviously, I was pregnant. I suppose, if I'm honest, to some degree, I wanted to manage how much weight I gained through my pregnancies. But I did notice the mental well being that exercise gave me. And I always felt so much better after moving my body. I was doing swimming, and I was doing little bits in the gym, just to get the movement. Now, um, after my first child, I left the fitness industry for a short period of time, and I was working full time at this point, in an office as a marketing manager. And th- this is when I really began to value exercise, because I had a very sedentary job. I was bound by 9 to 5 hours. And having worked previously in the fitness industry, you can always on your lunch break go and do a quick workout, or it was accessible, or I worked shift work, and I was always in the environment. And this was my first time not in a health and fitness environment. And so I really began to value exercise, moving my body, feeling good, managing my pregnancies. I have 3 kids, all quite close together. I never stopped exercising throughout. Um, but I really began to notice how much it benefited me and my well-being. Not long after I had my few years, I think my youngest was about 3 or so, when I left that full time job and I set up a women's running club in my local area, because I was running quite regularly. And I decided that I no longer wanted to work in an office environment, and I missed the health and fitness industry. And I set up a women's running club, and I would run sessions between 3 and 5 times a week. And my running club longevity was 14 years. So I did it for a lot of time. I used running, whether it was club running sessions or running on my own. Running was always a way for me to get time away from the kids and to get that mental relief and just to decompress after a busy day and improve how I felt. And yeah, I suppose at this point I was still exercising to manage how I looked and my weight. Within my running club, the other reason why I started my women's running club is because I was benefiting so much from exercise and had benefited for so many years, having entered the health and fitness industry at a young age and working in many types of clubs. I've worked on cruise ships. I've done health and fitness in all different types of clubs. I've managed clubs. And when I set up my running club, one of my biggest motivations was to help other women improve their fitness and their health and the way that they felt, because I knew and had experienced all these great feelings and I wanted to share it, and I wanted to encourage women that they could feel this way too. Whilst I was doing all these run sessions and having this amazing experience with all these other women, in addition to my running sessions, meanwhile, I would still go to the gym and I would still do more cardio. Because that's all I knew, and that's just what I did. I'd drop my kids at school, go straight to the gym, get on a cross trainer, and do more cardio. It was only after getting repeatedly injured that I was advised to build strength as a preventative measure to my running. And that's when I really got into lifting weights. And I fell in love with how good it felt feeling strong. I talk about resistance training in some of my podcasts. I do need to do a dedicated why it's important for women to lift weights. But for me personally, lifting weights for the first time took my focus away from burning calories and to feeling strong and to lift heavy things in the gym. It created discipline, it created mental resilience. And out of all the different types of exercise that you can do out there, lifting weights, resistance training, is the only form of exercise that actually leads to you changing your body. There's not any other exercise that actually changes the physical look of your body. I was by this point in love with resistance training. I did a lot less cardio. I kind of fell into bodybuilding, which I know sounds ridiculous, but I kind of fell into it. I talked about in one of my previous podcasts how that happened. And bodybuilding became my life for 5 years. I was pretty good at it and I loved it. And I loved the challenge of spending time off season, making improvements to my physique, and then returning to stage with an improved physique, looking better and competing at a higher level against other incredible women. Now, obviously, I haven't done bodybuilding for a good 2 years now. I realize now that bodybuilding was not very healthy. Taking your body to extreme low levels of body fat is not healthy. It's not a happy place to be. And I want to slip this in there that even when I was at my leanest, and I was really lean, I still wasn't happy with how I looked. And it just goes to show that your external appearance or what you weigh or how lean you are, it doesn't always represent how good you feel. And it's really important for me to talk about that and to highlight that to you, because how you feel, and I'm going to come on to this at the end of the podcast, but how you feel is not always dependent on how you look. But going back to bodybuilding, you're basically on a stage, you're doing certain bodybuilding poses. You are judged solely on your presentation, your physique, and how you look. But I did it for 5 years. I had 4 competitive seasons. I did really well. I didn't have any major issues going through bodybuilding. But coming away from bodybuilding is when I really began to focus on my health and prioritized how I felt. I was about early 50s at this point. And I feel so strongly about this because how you feel ultimately is the best measure of, all your progress, all your actions, all what you do and how you live your life contributes to how you feel. And how you feel is often a result, or not often, how you feel is a result of the actions that you take, the things that you do to benefit your health. Coming away from bodybuilding is when I really began to focus on my health and prioritized how I felt. And I knew that I wanted to feel good. I wanted to move away. I wanted to move away from what my external body looked like. I wanted to move away from external goals. My perception of myself was warped, and comparing myself to my leaner, competitive self was very unhealthy and was no longer serving me. And I knew that it was time to move away from bodybuilding. Now, how I look is still important to me, but not at the expense to the quality and happiness of my life, which kind of slipped away at that time when I was competing. And I didn't really notice. And it's only now that I look back. And although I have no regrets, I realized that I was never really fully present in life, whether it was being fully present, with the family, being fully present on days out, social occasions. I was never really fully present. I was so wrapped up in thoughts of competing, and it kind of consumes you in all areas of your life. You're literally eat, sleep, breathing, bodybuilding. I spent far too long saying no to social events, saying no thank you to certain foods. I didn't eat cake with the kids. I didn't enjoy meals out with the family. And there were many other areas that I had to sacrifice in pursuit of my bodybuilding goals. My life now, in the last few years, looks incredibly different since I moved away from bodybuilding, and how I feel matters to me far more than how I look. How I look is still important, but not at the expense of my health and the quality of my life. I do carry more body fat, sometimes more than I feel happy with. But like I say, I value my health and I value feeling good. I have a much more moderate approach to all food. I include all food. I have great variety, and I'm no longer all or nothing. I am very guided now by how I feel, which is why I preach and I practice what I preach, because how you feel is the best indicator of your actions and representative of your health. And how you feel are a result, and how I feel are a result of my consistent efforts and actions, which look no different to the actions I recommend to my clients or talk about on my podcast and advise other women. Obviously, specific goals, frequency, and intensity are all person specific, but they are fundamentally the same principles. Now, last year, my health and fitness goals looked entirely different for the first time in my life. Last year was the first time I had a performance related goal. I'd never had a performance related goal, only a how I look goal. And I took part in a competition called High Rocks. I've done it twice as a doubles. My partner is younger, fitter, stronger than me, but we worked as a team and it was absolutely amazing. And the motivation for me to do High Rocks was to see what I was capable of, to prove that age is not a barrier, that I was capable of putting myself through the training. I had a coach. She put me through the training and I showed up and I did my training and I did what I needed to do. And on the day of the competitions, both of them, each time, it was a celebration of my body, what it was able to do for me, what I was capable of. And I was the fittest, strongest, and healthiest than I have ever been. And each time I've done High Rocks, I improve my fitness, my health, and my strength, and I get better at it. I loved it so much. And the feeling I got of accomplishment having done High Rocks, I put it out to my clients, and I had 8 clients group into teams of 4 to do the High Rocks relay and challenge themselves beyond anything they thought they could ever do. My oldest client was 62. She was incredible, as they all were, and they felt amazing. And the resilience, the confidence, the self-belief it has instilled in them is with them today and shows in all their actions that they have gone on to do and impact their lives in so many positive ways. And so this is why I'm a huge advocate on focusing on how you feel. It will benefit you mentally and physically, as well as physiologically. And it will impact how you feel and show up for yourself every single day. And you don't have to do anything drastic. You don't have to bodybuild. You don't have to do high rocks. You just need to think about those fundamental basics, because it is those fundamental things that will enable you to feel good. And I measure how I feel by the actions that I take. My health and fitness has changed dramatically over the years, from an 18-year-old through through marriage, through pregnancy, through working in the health and fitness industry, through temporarily leaving the fitness industry to return. My personal goals and my values and how I feel has changed through the years. And now, as a older woman, I value how I feel above and beyond anything else. And although you can't measure how you feel on a graph or on a table, I don't have a scale to show you how I feel, and neither do you, but you know how you feel. And it is possible for you to feel incredibly good within yourself. And I just wanted to celebrate my birthday and share with you how my health and fitness has changed over the years. The more great I feel and the more benefits I feel and the more education I've been exposed to and the more knowledge I gain, evidence-based knowledge, and my own anecdotal experience alongside the feedback from my clients who are making incredible progress, it drives me to want to motivate as many women as possible to feel good, to feel comfortable in their bodies, to be happy with how they look and feel. And I don't want any person, especially women, to just be accepting of not feeling their best self, or thinking that they're just that you're just at a stage of your life and this is what happens and you can't do anything about it, so just sit tight and accept it, because you absolutely don't have to. No one should ever accept not feeling their best self. There is something you can do about that, and you are more capable than you realize, and that every single woman is worth it and is capable and should feel good. And this is what I practice to all my clients and all, in my podcast and my ethos in my coaching. Now, there is still a podcast episode dropping as usual on Tuesday, and it's more about supporting you in how you can feel good. So definitely give it a listen, look out for it, and thank you for joining me.